30 minutes of power.
I have a question for you. How long have you been sitting on your book idea? If you're tired of thinking about it and ready to actually make progress, join me the last Sunday of every month for my live writing masterclass. Now, this isn't just another class. It's an interactive space where you finally gain some clarity on your book, help you break through some mindsets that are blocking you, and get the roadmap to actually start writing. And as a bonus, when you register, you'll get a free 20-minute coaching session with me. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Click the link in the show notes, scan the QR code to sign up. Let's get your book out of your head and onto the page. I'll see you there. Welcome back to another lovely episode of 30 Minutes of Power, TOP, your one-stop shop for all things encouraging, entertaining, and motivating. Listen, people, we have an amazing show today, full of energy, wisdom, and straight talk about business, faith, and personal growth. My guest today has been called the world's greatest podcast guest, and he's a two-time New York Times bestselling author, the host of the Thought Leader Revolutionary podcast and the Sovereign Man podcast. He's also the founder of eCircle Academy, where he helps entrepreneurs build thriving practices. He's interviewed, get this, guys, more than 700 of the world's top thought leaders, including John Maxwell, Barbara Corcoran, Seth Godin. I mean, this list goes on and on. He's also helped countless of entrepreneurs scale their businesses, sometimes by 7, 8, and even 9 figures. But the thing that I really love about him and what I'm super excited about him being here to talk about is that he has a passion about helping people win big, live out their God-given calling, and do it all while staying true to their faith. Nicky Billou, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much. What an awesome introduction.
Listen, you did it. I'm just saying it.
God bless you.
You have such a powerful story, man. And from your background as an immigrant to becoming one of the most in-demand thought leaders in the world, can you share how just that journey has shaped your passion for freedom and for entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. As you said, I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East, a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And there were literally gun battles going on in the streets. My mom and dad are looking around going, whoa, this is crazy. And then one day, a Molotov cocktail smashes through our living room window and lands next to my feet. Now, I'm a kid. I don't know what the hell it is, but my dad does. He grabs it. He pulls out the burning wick. And he turns the bottle around. And on it, there's a note that says, "Die, Christian scum." That was when mom and dad said, we got to get out of here. This ain't going to be a place to raise a Christian family. It took them 2 years. They got us out of Iran to Greece. And 2 more years, they took us from Greece to Canada, where I now live. Now, you got to understand, at that time, I'm a kid, man. I don't want to leave my home. I don't want to leave my friends. Maybe you can relate to not wanting to leave your home or your friends. But I tell you what, time goes on, and I see, slowly but surely, the nobility of my mom and dad's sacrifice. They left behind everything and everyone they knew to give me and my 2 brothers a chance at a better life. And I believe inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet yearns to breathe free, to march to the tune of their own drummer, to chart their own course. And I started to see that entrepreneurs were freedom's foot soldiers. Entrepreneurs, man. Entrepreneurs are the ones who, because they dare to dream, make the world a better place. Going after those dreams moves the human race forward. And my father was an entrepreneur. He was the greatest man I knew. If you met him, Jori, you would love my dad. My dad was the kind of man who, if you were looking for work, would sit you down in his office, call all his entrepreneur and government buddies until one of them gave you a job. If you were starting a business, he'd clear his calendar. You'd sit down in his office and he'd listen intently and give you his best advice. And if you were trying to buy a car or a house and the bank wouldn't give you quite enough money, you need another 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, he'd write you a check to cover the balance. And people always say to me, hold up, man, this sounds too good to be true. There is nobody like that. And I said, no, there is. There is. And they'd say, well, how come? Why would he do it? What's in it for him? And I said, first and foremost, great question. Secondly, he did it because he was a devout and committed Christian. I didn't take himself so seriously, but he took his faith very seriously. Secondly, he did it because he could. He was successful. He had the money. He was rich. That was my father. And I wanted to be like him. Every day he'd tell me, son, life is about people, not numbers. Even business is about people, not numbers, not money. And I go, Dad, what? Don't you need money to do business? Yes, son, you do. But without people, there's no need for any money. Because all business is solving problems for people for a profit.
There you go.
You solve acute problems for amazing people and you make an awesome profit. That's the awe-inspiring purpose of business. And me, I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be somebody that people loved. So I went out there and I got into the business of helping entrepreneurs. And every single day, I want to be my dad's son, because my dad would tell me every day, son, that woman sitting in front of you, that's someone's wife, that's someone's daughter, that's someone's sister. She's a hero to somebody. Maybe a man just like you disappointed her in life or in business. It's your job to restore her faith in humanity. It's your job to show them that goodness still exists in this world. And you and I are talking 2 days after a beautiful young man, 31 years old, was felled by an assassin's bullet. Agree with him, disagree with him. He was going on campuses and he was having respectful debates with people who disagreed with him. He had 2 little kids under the age of 5. He had a wife. And then when they asked him, what do you have to say to these people that threaten you? Because he received thousands of threats a day. He said, I forgive my enemies. I forgive my enemies. And I got to tell you, that was beautiful. That was brilliant. And I pray every day for that man and his wife and his 2 little kids. And frankly, for the world, because what happened is a blot on humanity. But at the same time, it also shows you that goodness, graciousness, faith, freedom, it's a big part of what made America the greatest nation in the history of the world. And it's a big part of what has allowed America to be the most successful nation in the world. And I'm all about spreading freedom. That's my message. I want freedom for everybody. I got this vision that there's going to be 1 billion millionaires around the world, billion multimillionaires. That'll create the greatest constituency for free enterprise the world has ever seen. And that way, we'll get rid of the forces of darkness, the forces of evil, of socialism, of secularism, and all the types of forces that led some 22-year-old kid to think that killing a good man was a good idea. Because that's what it's all about, and I do what I do to serve the good men and women who stand up for all the values that you and I have been talking about right now. Faith, family, business, purpose, mission. That's what it's all about.
That's powerful. I think you helped me reframe something, because I think sometimes we forget that free enterprise isn't just about the money, right? It's about having the ability to make the impact. It's about creating opportunities for others. It's about serving others. And I do think that is a lost art in entrepreneurship right now and in business. I'm going to segue a little bit, because this is my 130th interview, right? So I'm just barely touching the surface of what you've been able to accomplish. So you've interviewed 700 thought leaders, from astronauts to CEOs. So let's start with the basic. What exactly is a thought leader, and why should the average entrepreneur care about becoming one, or should they?
That's such a really good question. So the best way to describe what a thought leader is by drawing a contrast between an expert and a thought leader. So Matt Church, who is one of the thought leaders whose work I've been following for a lot of years, says an expert is someone who knows something. So experts are a dime a dozen. There's lots of people who know things, but a thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. Thought leaders are rare and valuable. Another way to put it is an expert is like a cover band, while a thought leader is like Elvis Presley. They play original music. You know what I'm saying? So that is the beauty of being a thought leader. When you're a thought leader, you are seen as the go-to expert in your space. And let me tell you a story of someone that I helped become a thought leader. His name was Dan. When I met him, he was an expert. He was a fitness coach. Someone introduced him to me because he wasn't doing very well in business. He was making $1,200 a month in the city of Toronto. Now, I don't know how much you know about Toronto, Canada, but Toronto, Canada is the New York City of Canada. Okay?
I know $1,200 ain't cutting it.
It is not cutting it in the New York City of Canada. No, it is not. So Dan, grown-ass man, is asking mom and dad to bail him out every month, right? So he comes to meet me, and I said, all right, Dan, what is it exactly that you do? And he said, you know what I do, Nicky, is I help people with health and fitness. I go, okay, tell me more. He says, well, you know, if you're trying to lose weight, I'll help you out. If you're trying to gain some muscle, I'll help you out. If you're trying to get ready for a wedding, I'll help you out. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, yo, man, you're trying to be all things to all people. That's not really going to work. And he said, okay, so what should I do? I said, well, let's narrow your focus. So one of the things thought leaders do is they don't try to be all things to all people. That makes sense to you, right? You can't be all things to all people to be a thought leader. You got to focus. You've got to have a real point of where you're trying to get to and how you're trying to get there. So Dan said, all right. He said, well, who should I work with? And I started to ask a question of him, but then he cut me off right away and said, I got it. I'm going to work with doctors. Like, doctors, why? Well, my father's a doctor and I love my dad. I said, that's wonderful. Why else? He said, well, don't doctors make a lot of money? And I'm like, Danny, I need to explain something to you. Money cannot be your primary motivation. And he says, you know what? No, I'm going to go with this. So he wasn't super coachable at the beginning, right? A month or two in, he gets maybe 1-2 clients. So he's making, instead of 1,200-1,300 a month, he's making 1,500-1,600 a month. I don't know, something like that. So I go to him and I go, Danny, it's not working. We need to try it my way. He says, okay, maybe narrow the niche more. I got a cardiologist. Cardiologist? Yeah, they make more money than doctors. I'm like, Danny, did I not just finish telling you money can't be your primary motivation for doing this? He said, no, Mom, I'm doing it. Well, he got no cardiologist clients. But what he did do was he started working with a man with a missing limb who was a Paralympian athlete. He was an African Cuban fella. Okay. Big hulking specimen. You know what I mean by specimen, man? Like, this dude was like muscles in his muscles, handsome as a freaking movie star, you know, young Harry Belafonte type of thing. And body was charming and charismatic, but his leg was gone, right? So he had an artificial leg. And they did good work together, right? He helped this guy win like medals, I think even gold at major international competition. So it was good. And then Danny comes to me and he said, Nicky, I owe you an apology. I haven't been very coachable. I go, no, you've not. He said, you've been trying to tell me money can't be my primary motivation. I haven't been listening. You were right. I was wrong. And he said, listen, I think what I want to do, Nicky, is I want to help people with missing limbs. Now, before he said a word after that, I knew instantly that was a God-ordained mission. And I'm like, this is correct. He said, I said, Danny, you should do it. He said, yeah, I agree. I know how to help these people. I know why most people can't help them. And I know how to help them. I said, you go, Danny. Jori.
That makes so much sense. So I wanna touch upon this, and that's actually a great segue. I want to touch upon this phrase that I've heard you use
before you segue, let me finish the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to hear the rest of it. It gets better. So remember, he's not going after the money anymore, right? He signs up with no marketing, word of mouth only, 400 clients in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks. Now, remember, he's a one-on-one, in-person personal trainer at that time. He had to change his model to do online and group because one-on-one, you can't do 400 clients. Just no way. Um, Danny went from making 1,200, 1,300, 1,500 a month to making over $100,000 a month, $1.2 million a year run rate as a personal fitness trainer. And remember, he's not at that point trying to go after the money as his primary motivation. He wanted to help these people. Now, why was he so successful? First of all, he was in a blue ocean. Are you familiar with the term the blue ocean, right? From the book
Absolutely.
Blue Ocean
100%.
Strategy. So no other personal fitness trainer was trying to work with people with missing limbs at that time. Things have changed. People are doing it now. Why? Their reasoning was, well, they don't have all their arms and legs. They can't work out. Danny knew better. Danny knew better. And his message wasn't just, I'm going to train you what we're going to work out. His message was, and just think about how powerful this is. I see you.
Mm.
I know you. I got you. You are a child of God Almighty, ordained with his favor and love, and you can do anything anybody else can do. Remember that message. Consider being someone with a missing limb. Just consider it. Put yourself in those shoes for a moment. You are probably somewhat not thrilled about not having all your limbs. You probably have some level of resentment, upset. Now, there's people who don't. There's people who figured it out, but most people are like, frig, I wish I had every arm, every leg, right? And why did this happen to me? Some level of that through most people's eyes. And when Dan's message is, I see you, I hear you, I get you, and I got you. I got your back. And you can do anything anyone else can do. Does it surprise you that he got 400 people in that community to sign up with him, especially when no one else was trying to work with him? Does it surprise you in the least?
No.
Because it did not surprise me.
No.
That's a thought leader. He's now known for being the personal fitness trainer who is a specialist in working with people with missing limbs. People sought him out. He did not need to run ads. You know, like they say, Martin Luther King didn't have a marketing plan, right? Nor did Danny.
So that leads me to the same segue, because from the time that, and I apologize for cutting you off, from the time that you said that Danny was able to attract 400 new clients, even
Yes.
without the back part of how much he was being able to bring in revenue wise, the idea that attraction marketing, by positioning yourself as an individual who not only provides this service, or an individual who fills this need or fills this gap. I think the thing that most people want to know is, I want to be with someone, and I want to work with someone who not only cares about just taking my money and providing this service, but they actually care about the person. Right. And I think a lot of us, with this AI everywhere and marketing bots and whatnot, like, how would you, and you've mentioned this before in other podcast interviews that you've done, you call them charlatan marketers. How do you identify the fakes versus someone who can build something authentic?
So, a charlatan marketer is one of those folks who basically doesn't care whether they deliver or they don't deliver, but they are extremely skilled at touching a person's pain points and getting them to do what they want them to do, i.e. buy from them, right? That's what a charlatan marketer is. So if you think about this, Jori, right? You probably bought something from a charlatan marketer in the past. I know I have. And you're lucky if you get a return because it's just a happy accident, right? And part of the problem that a lot of folks have is they don't want to be seen as one of those charlatan marketers, as one of those people reeking of commission breath. So they're like holding themselves back. They don't want to be seen as pushy. And they hold themselves back and they don't get business they should get. Someone who needs their help doesn't get to work with them. Okay. And what is that? And why is that the case? Well, straightforward and simple, because, they just don't feel they should be that kind of person. You with me? And when the charlatan marketer gets the business, everybody loses. You lose because you don't get the business you should have gotten. The client loses because they don't get the help they need. And even the charlatan loses because what goes around comes around. The sum total of goodness in the world goes down. So one of the things I've been doing is I've been helping good people reframe how they look at sales and marketing. Instead of looking at it as being pushy and salesy, I have them look at it as being an act of service, an act of love. So don't look at it as selling, look at it as serving, look at it as advocacy. If I am someone's advocate, I will go to the wall for them. And just that mental reframe has people double, triple, quadruple their business. Now, I had a woman who came to us who was a functional medicine doctor, okay? And she was doing well. She was doing 6 figures a year. Now, we helped her get her messaging dialed in because, she was trying to be all things to all people. And we used some of our techniques to help her find out who her ideal client was. So we had her make a list of everybody she'd gotten great results for, everybody she loved working with, and everybody who was easy to do business with. And whoever was on all 3 lists was her ideal client. And it turned out to be women over 45, married, working, successful in careers, great family life, but they felt like they weren't young and beautiful anymore, and they hated it. So we helped her come up with a program called Get Your Sexy Back, and that helped. But we also helped her really be focused on loving on these women and not thinking about, I don't want to be seen as pushy, but going out there and really, really being of service to these women from a point of view of love. And she doubled her income 3 years running, went from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month, Jori. And that's the difference between being a heart-driven, service-driven person and a charlatan marketer.
Nicky, I want to thank you for your time today. I mean, you've poured out so much wisdom. If anyone's listening to this, wants to stop hiding, right? And step into their authority and start attracting clients like these amazing examples that you just gave, what's the first step they should take?
Well, first step they should take, honestly, is they should go to my website and book a call with me and tell me on this call, this is what I want to do. And they should take advantage of this breakthrough session that I offer to help them get a breakthrough on how to make that happen. It'll be a blueprint for success. And I offer this for free. So go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment. And I also suggest this: if you like me and the cut of my jib, go on to Amazon and look at my book list. And I got a whole bunch of books that I've written that are all full of inspiring messages and good strategies, tactics on how to do that. That's what I suggest.
Well, at the top of the show, you shared a book specifically for podcast guesting. Do you mind showing that to the audience again once more?
Sure. It's called Get Booked and Get Paid: How to Generate 6 Figures Plus Through Podcast Guesting. And it talks about how to do podcast guesting right, because most people go on shows and they just vomit on the host and the audience, and they don't get any opportunities out of there a lot. I don't do that. You may have noticed there's a very particular way in which I've answered your questions. And the way that I answer the questions is really designed, first of all, to inspire the audience. Second of all, it's designed to have you as the host go, I love this guy, I want him back. And thirdly, it's designed to have you go, I think I need to have a relationship with this fellow beyond this podcast. And that's how podcast guesting ought to be done. It ought to be inspiring to the audience. It ought to make the host feel happy about the fact that they came in, but it also should make you, the guest, the recipient of a brand new business relationship. And those business relationships are how business gets done. Business gets done with people you're in relationship with that know, like, and trust you. That's the bottom line.
I love that. Absolutely amazing. Friends, if you're ready to stop playing small and start stepping into your calling, I encourage you, check out all of Nicky's resources, and he has a plethora of them for you to do so starting today. Nicky, thank you so much for joining me on 30 Minutes of Power. And to everyone listening, remember this: be an empowered person using your power to empower others. Till next time, people, God bless.
All right, before we wrap up today, I want to remind you, if the book is on your heart, then this Sunday is your chance to finally take that first step. Join me for a live writing masterclass, and we'll break down the book writing process and get you moving forward from idea to execution. So head over to jorioneale.com/your_story_matters. Thanks for tuning in to 30 Minutes of Power. We hope today's episode inspired you to take action and make a positive change in your life. Remember, your power is meant to empower others. So share this episode with someone who needs encouragement today. We'd love to hear from you. So connect with us on Instagram at 30 Minutes of Power. Until next time, stay empowered and keep empowering others.
30 minutes of power.